The Games of Life. Know the games, change your life. By Jared Truth Speaker. Understand that this is only a stepping stone from one level of understanding to the next. This book is designed for you to recognize some of the games of life so that you can make your own rules and change your life. Yes, your life can be turned around in your favor to live the life you dream. We are not aware of the many games of life and how they affect us. Some of the games are so subtle that you wouldn't recognize them. They are as mundane as the routines in our daily lives. That's just life, you may say, but the truth is, you validated the games and made them so. If life is a game, then there must be a winner and a loser. Who created the games and why? Are you taking an active role in the games, or are you being shoved around the board game of life? Whose rule are you living by, yours or someone else's? Making your rules. There are always rules to a game, and the game of life is no different. There are rules, roles, and players in every game. We may think that we are simply blessed to have life, but it is much more than that. We are here with a purpose. In order to fulfill that purpose, we need to know the games, how to play them, and make our own rules because it's your game, your life. The first thing you must do when making your rules for the game of life is to turn on your light. What light? The light that you are. The light that you have always been. How do you turn on your light? You turn on your light with self-love. Learn to love yourself. Be kind to your body. It is the best tool you'll ever have. Your light gives you inner peace, happiness, joy, and knowledge. You will begin to enjoy the simple things in life like watching the clouds, walking in nature, stargazing, listening to the birds, and simply being alone, which is something most of us do not like to do. Something as simple as a breeze can bring a smile to your face. You become grateful for everything. I mean everything. Talk to yourself daily by saying, I love you self. You are my best self. You are my beautiful self. You are priceless and I adore you. When you turn on your light, others are drawn to you like a moth to a flame. You no longer have to look for love because you resonated, and love will find you everywhere you go. People like to be around you. Now that your light is on, the universe is ready to validate your rules for your life. Be clear when setting your rules. For example, you desire to live in the body to 157 years. So you do, but it may not be a creative 157 years. It's important that you include your desire to live a long, creative, productive, and adventurous life. Include everything in this rule of longevity that you desire. With longevity, you will be guided from your higher self to do what is necessary for the body to live a long, productive life. If you are under the mindset of not having that kind of authority over your life, then you are living according to someone else's rules, playing their game. Remember, you are the master, the center, the powerhouse of your universe, your life. Now that your light is on, let's play. These are some of the games of life. The game of forgetfulness. You forgot, didn't you? You forgot the many soul contracts that you made before coming into body. From the moment we come into this world, the contracts come into play and the games begin. The first game we play in the game of life is forgetfulness. It is a rule that must be accepted in order to play the game. If we didn't forget what we already know, the game would not be worth playing. There are a few people who remember who they were in their past life in the first few years of life, and then they forget. We pretend that we don't know who we are and began accepting names that put us into a limited frequency. These names and labels help teach us the dance of disempowerment. We forget that we are an infinite being inside of a body. As we grow, constantly changing, more of life's games are imposed upon us. This is okay. Believe it or not, most of us chose to have this human experience to find out what it is like to be trapped, controlled, and manipulated. Some of us are trapped because we have been here so many times that we think we are the body. Others have come here to help raise the vibration by being a holder of light, knowledge, to help those who are in the dark, lacking knowledge, and are ready to awaken. This forgetfulness allows us to experience life as if it was the very first time coming into body. Otherwise it would be like seeing the same movie over and over. The first few times you'll catch something you missed, but after the 10th time, the thrill is gone and you are looking for something new to entertain you. So it is when you come into body. After so many times of coming into body, you realize that something isn't right. At this point, you probably have experienced just about everything and the game is beginning to bore you, so you begin to awaken. You begin asking questions and seeking the truth. Usually, there is some kind of emotional trauma, a loss, or devastation that puts one on that truth-seeking path. Deep felt emotions trigger the codes within us to go deep within ourselves for answers, and we make that U-turn. We no longer follow the crowd. We take responsibility for our bodies and take better care of ourselves. We only accept knowledge that resonates with us, and we become our own guide by seeking knowledge from within. For if you do not go within, you will go without. I don't mean you will go without material things, but the things that money cannot buy, like inner peace, joy, happiness, love, and true knowledge. These are the true fruits of life. When we choose to forget who and what we are, we scoff at those who are game breakers, or better yet, game spoilers. Imagine you're excited about watching your favorite show that you recorded because you didn't have a chance to see it when it showed. As soon as you get home and begin to watch it, your wonderful husband spills the beans, all of them. He tells you the most important part of the story. That probably wouldn't make you very happy. After all, you took the time to record it so that you could see it yourself. That's exactly how it is when conscious people, in their excitement of waking up, tell others who are not ready to hear the truth. They spoil the game. We have to allow others to come into knowing in their own time as we have. If they are not ready, they will rebel and call you crazy. They are enjoying their dramas as you once did. When you are awakened to the truth, you see this everywhere. People love to talk about their dramas they create. It's okay. Everyone will return to source, first cause, God, or whatever you want to call it, him or her, when they are ready. Now that you have forgotten who and what you are, let's uncover some of the games of life and tilt the rules in our favor so that we can live our best life and go to the next realm. The name game. The name game is a subtle tool used to separate and keep us in a limited vibration frequency. When you break down the word name, you can easily see why this tool traps and keep you in a limited frequency. Let's break it down. NAME. When you say the letters, they sound like enemy, doesn't it? That's not a coincidence, as there are no coincidences. That is exactly what it is. Your name is your enemy in more ways than one. Have you ever attempted to get a job, go to school, or own your own business without a NAME? It is very difficult to do almost anything that allow movement without a legal name. Shortly after birth, you are given a name and it is registered. Your parents are unaware of the deception of getting a birth certificate and giving birth to you in a ward, and of registering you into a slave prison system. Think about it, you are born in a ward. Where else is the term ward used? In a prison, right? Yes, you become a ward of the state that you are born in with a certificate. That state has jurisdiction over you. This birth certificate, in the eyes of the game makers, makes you their property. There is a lot of substantial information on the use of the birth certificate. Take a closer look at your birth certificate, the evidence is there. This ownership is valid until you awaken to the game and figure out who you are. Just like a riddle, once it's solved, it is no longer a riddle. Now we see what the name is to you in plain sight. Let's take a look at another side of this game. Every time we label or give ourselves a title, a wall, a boundary goes up around us to keep us in that self-given trap, box, or limited state of being. For example, you say, I am a banker. When you say this, your whole world began to revolve around that title of being a banker. Your family, friends, your time, and self is consumed by that title. It becomes first and center in your life. When you are no longer a banker, you have to find something else to consume you because you feel lost without a title. This is why some people feel lost and depressed after losing a job. That job defined, validated, and gave them a sense of purpose. The words I am has power. It represents first cause or God. I am is a state of present being. It is the now, as the now is all there is. Labels, titles, and names are limited, frequency traps. There are ways to get around this trap. Be aware of your choice of words and think before you speak. I know this can be challenging at first because we are not accustomed to being consciously aware of the vibration of words, names, titles, and labels. The more you practice thinking before speaking, it becomes effortless. Therefore, instead of saying, "I am a banker," you can say what you do. For example, "I handle banking transactions," or "I work at the bank." The difference is stating what you do and not what you are. Only accept what you choose to be called and let no one or no thing define you. You set the rules. I am that I am. The gender game. Colors are how we are made aware of the sex of a baby when it is born. Blue for boys and pink for girls. Yellow when the sex is still unknown and the baby is not yet born. Truth is, gender is a game. Gender is a label that is used to identify the bodysuit we wear. Each bodysuit has different parts to perform a certain function. When we were a people of one, all had the same uniform. It was only when the game makers discovered the convenience of different uniforms as a way of procreation and keeping the soul in a perpetual state of entrapment that they were made differently. These different uniforms are labeled male and female. Our bodies are no different than any other multitasking uniform or tool that is used to perform certain functions. The body is a biological, DNA-encoded machine that houses our spirit. When one enters into the same gender uniform or body repeatedly for a great number of times, then enter into the opposite gender uniform, that spirit may feel confused, uncomfortable. This feeling of discomfort or wrong fit can lead to an identity crisis in sexuality. There may be a feeling of entrapment of being in the wrong body. It's like wearing flat shoes all of your life and one day it is mandatory for you to wear 6-inch heels. You will probably feel very uncomfortable in the 6-inch heels. It will take time to adjust to the new footwear. Some people never adjust to the new bodysuit, so they do whatever is necessary to feel comfortable. This is also an area where judgment and karma play a role, which could have caused a situation such as one feeling uncomfortable in their body. Let's say there is someone who adamantly opposes same-sex relationships to a point of hatred and disgust. So you say, "I don't see how two men can be with each other in an intimate way. I just don't understand it. It's wrong and against the will of God." When you feel this way and make those kinds of statements about a situation, you are judging and you set yourself up for a karmic experience to get an understanding and to have compassion for that situation. So, you come back and are attracted to the same sex. Then and only then do you understand that situation. This is how we all eventually get to have compassion for every situation and judge it not. To overcome the idea that you are male or female, get to know who you truly are, a being having a human experience. As you play the gender game, recognize that you are not the body, just as the outfit you put on is not you. The game of old age. Cosmetic is a billion-dollar industry. Everyone wants to stay young and beautiful. Well, why don't we? Because we really can, and some people have. We are taught this dance of aging at an early onset. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. How old are you now? How old are you now? We play this game very well, don't we? Let's change the words to this song to how young are you? This would give birthdays, which are really death dates, a different perspective if you identify young as growth of strength and knowledge. We have a tendency to equate birthdays with growing older, weaker, and succumbing to death. Death is another game. This is a game that most of us fear, yet we give it power to come much sooner than it should. This growing old business is not necessary. Our bodies, as is everything else, is constantly changing. This change doesn't have to be a change of degeneration. Our bodies are magnificent and were made to last for a very long time, if not for eternity. That can be a hard concept to digest if you don't know who you are. If the being that is inside the body is infinite, eternal, immortal, and universal, why can't the body, which is only the vehicle, be as well? After all, it is consciousness that power up or give life to the body, not the other way around. The body is a biological, programmable, DNA-encoded machine. It operates like any other machine. It has parts and organs that make up the system to perform certain tasks. Machines have a control center, and that control center in the human body is the brain. In a normal situation, the body does what the brain tells it. So why don't we simply say, Okay, I'm going to live for 300 years, and it is so? As I stated earlier, we are taught at an early age that we get old with each birthday. We hear and say it all the time. I'm getting old and you're 33, over the hill. We see the effects of old age and dread getting older. So by the time most people are over 30, their age becomes a secret. You hear things like, don't get old, and do it while you're still young. The list goes on. All of this old talk is programming, conditioning the brain to cause the body to age. The gene that governs age have been found. This age gene can be turned off and on with consciousness. Again, consciousness trumps programming. We think that we are getting older because we hear it, say it, feel it, and began to look it. Suddenly, there it is, old age. It happens because collectively and individually, we believe it to be so. The body does what the mind tells it. This is the law of creation, thought, word and deed. It is how everything has come to be. Therefore, change your thinking about aging. Breathing exercises are the best way to reverse the aging process. Game of health. Health is also a game that brings in trillions of dollars that we literally buy into with our money, time, and life. How can an infinite, eternal, immortal, universal being get sick? It can't. What happens when one succumbs to sickness is an imbalance in the spirit that manifests as sensations, discomfort, or disease in the body. It is displaced energy. If the spirit is in balance, the body would be in balance as well because the body is guided by the spirit when you are ready. Your spirit or higher self will guide you to eat superfoods like chlorella, spirulina, wheatgrass, and other live foods to maintain a good pH balance along with exercise and some form of meditation. Please consider stress, unhealthy lifestyles, and food choices as part of an unbalanced spirit that allow for self-destructive behavior resulting in body weakness, disease, and body failure. For example, if your solar plexus chakra is closed for a long period of time, along with poor eating habits, you will most likely experience the imbalance as a physical manifestation as diabetes, because the solar plexus governs the pancreas in that area of the body. In the Western world, most people believe in their doctors and pharmaceuticals as their life depends on them. Have a headache? The attitude is take 2 pills and call me in the morning, if you can. People are quick to put their lives in the hands of others instead of listening to their own body. How many times must you go to the doctor to have your prescription changed because it isn't helping you? Doctors are, as it is said, practicing. If a doctor is sued for harm they may have caused, it is called a malpractice lawsuit. Mal means sick, not good. Practice is another way of saying, I don't know how, but I'm working on it. I have always had an issue with the Food and Drug Administration being one entity. I would feel better if it was the Food and Health Administration separate from the Drug and Poison Administration. It is in my opinion and the truth that is within me, as is everything else in this book, that the FDA is set up in such a fashion to oversee the poisons, labeled food, is approved so that the drugs can be made and in place when those poisonous foods are consumed and cause the diseases predicted by their in-house pharmaceutical scientists. Another thing to be aware of in the health game is the choice of words your doctor may use when speaking with you. I honestly think that most doctors mean well. They have good intentions. They went into the medical profession to help people get well. The problem is the system. People go to medical school and they are systematically taught, like every other profession in the system, to make money. You can't make money as a doctor if all of your patients are well. You are their bread and butter, their child's tuition bearer, their 3 times a year vacation package, their house on the hill. As part of the health game, there are words that are used to keep patients sick and diseased. Words are vibration. A gynecologist may say, check for breast lumps. Personally, I don't want to check for breast lumps because I don't want to find any lumps. I thought about it and wondered why those words were chosen instead of, make sure everything is normal. As I said before, the body does what the mind tells it. Therefore, if you are looking for breast lumps, eventually your body will produce breast lumps. There is more than one way to say the same thing. I suspect the choice of words a doctor uses is no accident. The way a doctor chooses to say things are usually in their favor. Words laced with fear is the tactic used to get you to have a surgery that you don't need or take that prescription that will certainly lead to another health problem and more prescriptions. Have you ever heard a doctor say meditate instead of medicate? If so, very few doctors will tell you this if they know the healing powers of meditation because it can put them out of practice. You hear people saying cancer runs in my family, so there is a chance I will get it also. This idea came from doctors telling their patient this. It is as you think. Your consciousness overrides genetics. Health is a game that brings in a lot of money. You can keep your money, strong body, and productive life by restoring the pH balance in your body and changing your belief system about your body, and you will be diseased no more. Change the rules of the health game by being a keeper of frequency and raise your vibration with better eating habits, exercise, detoxing, and some form of meditation. The game of lack. There is a shortage of water, electricity, oil, time, food, and money. You hear it daily. There just isn't enough of something. This is another game that we fall for. The media is one of the biggest culprits here. It perpetuates the idea of lack to the masses, and the lack game is reinforced. Every summer since I can remember there has been a water shortage. The truth is right before our eyes. Nature is constantly showing us the abundance of everything. I love trees and being in nature in general. There are plenty of trees where I am. What you see and hear is an external display of what is going on with you internally. I say this to say, there may be an abundance of broken down cars around you. It is still abundance. There may be an abundance of garbage. It's still abundance. There may be an abundance of abandoned buildings. It is still abundance. You may be surrounded by beautiful mountains. That's abundance. Whatever it is, there is plenty of it. If your thinking is stuck in lack, don't have, then you will remain not having. If you don't like the abundance in what you are seeing, be grateful for it anyway. Gratefulness can make the difference between having and not having. We buy into the belief of lack because to have more is ego-based. In America, more is better. Bigger is better. Faster is better. Yet, these things are not enough for the ego because it is like a bottomless pit. Never satisfied. If you are under the spell of the boob tube, TV, you are constantly reminded to have the newest, the best, and the brightest. In striving to obtain these things, we fail to realize that we have more than we need. We are not grateful. The more things you have, the more the things have you. Sit your ego down and have a little talk. Do something to make it uncomfortable. Throw it under a cold shower or take a walk in the woods alone at night. Show the ego who is running the show. Your life will become peaceful. You will be grateful for the little things. When you let go of wanting and having, you'll find that you have more than you need and will begin to get rid of things you have no need for, and when you let go of these things, you will feel lighter, free. When you don't want, you have everything. There is another reason for the game of lack. This game keeps people working like slaves to make it. Make what? To become who? Or what? This is where fear is used because people become fearful that they are not going to make it or become something or someone society deemed as important. When we are young children, we are asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? You are already that, and that is I am. The person asking the question doesn't know who they are because they wouldn't ask that question. It plays on the survival psyche. Survival is a part of the reptilian brain that reflects fear of the entity that created the body. This is the part of the brain that governs the whining, fearful ego. Oh boy, we are gonna die if we don't have enough clean water. Goodness, what are we gonna do when we deplete Gaia of her lubricant, oil? I suppose we'll just keep transitioning one way or the other. If the oil is depleted, what about Gaia? Well, most of us just don't care. The truth is, there is more than enough. To win in the game of lack, don't play it. Don't buy into the lies. Raise your vibration and see the beauty and the abundance that is waiting for you. The Dance of Disempowerment. Use your realization, real I, to see how you give your power away on a daily basis. When you come to know who you truly are, you will stop dancing to the tune of disempowerment. You will stop giving your power away to different entities. This one will offend a lot of people because the biggest disempowerment game is connected to religion and politics. We are taught that we are powerless through religion from generation to generation. Most of us don't stop to question the origin of the religious teachings that are passed on. When you do ask questions, you are told not to ask so many questions, or you may get an answer like, because God said it, or it's in the Bible and that's all you need to know. Yet, Jesus said, knock, ask, and seek. Even if the asking, knocking, and seeking isn't as literal as we may take it, the statement still invites you to want to know. As soon as you ask an outside force or entity to help you, you take on the role of disempowerment. Put it in the hands of the Lord, He'll take care of it. The Lord will fight my battle. God is my help in a weary land. God is able. God is good. Let go and let God. That's one of my favorites because it is said but very hard for most to do. Every time you pray outside of yourself for help or guidance, you give up your power to an external force that you are not aware of. Jesus said, "Yet are gods." This gods is with a little g because everyone and everything that is, and is not, is God with a big G. God with a big G cannot be defined. Because we are a part or piece of God, we have the power to do all things. Therefore, there is no need to give our power away. Who instilled the idea of needing leadership to keep things in order through an entity, known as a government, king, or emperor or other form of leadership? Take a moment to marvel at the animals to see how they navigate through life so effortlessly. They are not governed but simply flow in tune with nature. A flock of birds do not follow each other, each of them are leaders. Thousands of trees grow together and none stop growing because it is too close to another. There is always space between the blades of grass, yet they appear to be on top of the other. Yet, humanity cannot coexist without some form of authority or leadership. We choose to give our power away because we don't want to take responsibility for what we create when it doesn't appear to be in our favor. It's just a lot easier to elect politicians and other leaders and let them take the blame when our lives are falling apart. Yes, politics is a big ball game, more like a circus act. The political game is to convince you that there is a party or group that is on your side that will look out for your best interest. What most people don't know is that all of the players are on the same side, deceiving the people, making them believe that they have a choice. Politicians ask for your power, vote, to make decisions for you, and it is gladly given. When you serve on a jury, the state is asking you to do its dirty work, like upholding the death penalty. Your position represents society, and the state is somewhat off the hook for pulling the switch because it had a portion of society that said it was okay to execute another human being. We also give our power away by giving the Food and Drug Administration approval to poison our food and drink. If you drink or eat any dietary product, chances are, it contains aspartame. It's on the label. If you consume these products, you are giving your unspoken consent to poison you. Yes, there are many foods on the market that are not really food at all. To take your power back, you must know who you are and the power that is within you. Fear and guilt. There is only one place I can think of where these two tools are used relentlessly and are very effective. You will find that fear and guilt run pervasively in religious organizations. Yes. In order for the leaders of these organizations to control and manipulate you, they use fear and guilt. Spiritual books are used to reinforce their lies to con you out of your time, money, and energy. I attended church for many years. Religion was one of the things that got me on my path because the teachings and practices were questionable, to say the least. I felt guilty if I didn't give my 10% of my income or anything at all. The leaders had a way of making you feel unworthy, guilty, if you didn't show your appreciation to God by giving your money and time. You were made to feel guilty if you dressed, talked, walked, or behaved a certain way, or stayed away too long. Chastised if you went to certain places, congregated with certain people, and so on. Then comes the hammer: because you have done or didn't do what they want you to do, you are threatened with an eternal damnation of fire and brimstone. Talking about control and manipulation, it is rampart in religious organizations. Most of these people know that something isn't right, but they remain with the lies because they fear being ostracized and alone. You may have heard of the blind leading the blind. That is what most of the smaller churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples are. The blind leading the blind. If you ever watched the mega-religious organization, they seem to know that they are deliberately misleading their flock of sheep. Do you think it is a coincidence that the followers are called sheep? Sheep are docile. Look at the word again, sheep, now, sleep. Same word. The leader of the flock is called a shepherd or a pastor. Again, there are no coincidences. If you want out of the trap of feeling guilty and fearful, take a look at its polar opposite and you will find love. To thine own self be true. You will know for yourself that the true God or source is love, nothing less and nothing more. Yet, encompassing all energies. There is no condemnation, no restrictions, no judgment, no boundaries, with the true God. Just be, as God is. I am. Wealth and poverty. Are you wealthy? You chose it. Are you poor? You chose it. Yes, you signed up to have the experience you are having and may be in total denial of that choice. Of course, if you are poor, you may say that you didn't sign up for it, but you did. When we are in a divine state, one with Source, we know it all, but we want to experience it all and to continue to expand. This expansion includes poverty and a long list of other situations you may label as undesirable. Although what is undesirable is only one's perspective. Everything is what it is. What's deemed good for one may be terrible for another. They are just labels coming from different perspectives. I digressed, back to the topic. Let's take a look at how this game works. Wealth and poverty are games that we play without thought and awareness. This is particularly true for the poor because that lack of thought and awareness create other issues like stress, disease, violence, and other forms of low vibration frequencies. It seems that the wealthy, especially those with old money, is very much aware of the power of thought. This way of thinking for the wealthy goes way back to the beginning of civilization, perhaps starting with the entities that mixed with the humans and begot the so-called superior race or the blue bloods. Being born into a wealthy family, chances are you are automatically taught to think abundance. The words, can't and don't have, are probably not a part of their vocabulary when it comes to wanting or achieving. I imagine wealthy parents say to their child, you can, you will, you have. This is a programming for the child to always think and feel abundance. It is just the opposite if a child is born into poverty. That child will hear lack in the form of, we don't have, you can't, you won't, save for a rainy day or an emergency, and get a job instead of start your own business. These words perpetuate poverty. It is more of how the child is programmed than the family the child is born into. You have heard of some poor people becoming rich by way of winning the lottery, becoming famous, or earning millions for their talent of some sort. Within a short time period, they are bankrupt. Why? Because the programming of lack and poverty is still there. Even though they had millions, they thought poorly and didn't know how to manage the money. Remember that everything is energy and money is no different. It is no coincidence that it is also called currency. It flows. If you can break the programming, you can literally attract money to you out of thin air through thought manifestation. One of the problems that keep most people in that programmed mode of lack and poverty is the lie that it is noble to work hard. No one has to work hard, ever. Take a good guess as to where that idea came from. It certainly didn't come from the person doing the hard work. The ability to generate an abundant cash flow should be effortless and enjoyable. In fact, a consistent paycheck from someone for work performed generates energy of lack and poverty because you are not using your own creativity and knowledge. Once you change your mind about what money is and tap into your own source, money will begin to flow to you. Don't chase it, because it will flee from you. Wealth isn't just about money. Wealth is also a state of being. If you are in a good state of mind, body, and spirit, then you should consider yourself wealthy. Change your energy and mind about money and wealth to make it benefit you. The victim game. The victim and the blame game is one and the same. It's easy to place blame on someone or something for your lack of success, injustice, shortcomings, or some form of abuse. When we take on the role of blaming, we are in fact playing the victim. Someone assaulted, offended, neglected, harmed, or abused you in some way. You want justice. You want them to pay for your inconvenience, pain, and suffering. Let's see some examples of how we play this game. Some people happily play this game. They look to become a victim. You are walking down the street and twist your ankle on uneven sidewalk. Victim. You feel that you didn't get a job based on your race, religion, or gender. Victim. Someone broke into your car and stole some of your belongings. Victim. Someone attacked you. Victim. You were wrongly accused. Victim. You are being spied on. Victim. You got bit by a dog. Victim. The doctor gave you the wrong medicine and you had a bad reaction to it. Victim. The list goes on. One can always find fault to lay blame and play the role of the victim. If you so choose, you can be a victim of a different kind every day. Truth is, there are no victims. Only distorted views or perceptions. Everything works collectively in the universe, creating perfect orchestrated harmony to create the beautiful dance of life. Therefore, if you are a frequency match for a situation, you will draw that matching frequency to yourself. For instance, you are afraid that you will get robbed if you walk down the street. You walk down the street and it happens. The person who robbed you had to be thinking of how to get some easy money at some point. When the person who robbed you walked out of the door, there was fearlessness about how that money was gotten. Your fear matched his fearlessness. You thought you would lose. His intention was to gain. The two energies connected, creating a collapse in the energy wave, and manifestation occurred. The thoughts, words, and feelings will continue to generate the same situation until something changes. People who have multiple accidents or assaults continue to experience these types of situations. To stop playing the victim, see your part in the role that is being played and figure out how you drew that energy to yourself. You may not realize it at the moment, but whatever happens to you, you created it. Be mindful of, and take responsibility for your thoughts. This can help eliminate the victim game. Karma. What comes around goes around. What goes up must come down. Things you do comes back to you. These are some of the things we say in reference to karma. Karma is a game that keeps perpetuating needless pain and suffering, which are also games. There is a negative connotation that goes along with karma. If someone or something is intentionally harmed without cause, the thought is that karma will be the tool of revenge for that deed. However, when harm is unintentional, there is no need for karma. Let's just see it for what it really is, an expectation of a return of ill will, deed, or intent. Let's say that you work with the elderly and occasionally mistreat them. At this point in your life you are strong and healthy, but as time goes on, you began to think about the degeneration of your body and the possibility of needing a caretaker. You think about how you mistreated those in your care and think someone may mistreat you in return. Soon you find yourself in the care of another. You expect to be mistreated and it happens. You are mistreated. To stop the karmic cycle, let go of the belief. It's all an experience. It is what it is. Nothing more and nothing less. Pain and suffering is perpetuated through karma. A soldier kills children in a war and feels so badly about it that he feels he needs to repay what he has done. When he incarnate, he is killed as a child to pay that karmic debt. It's senseless. There's no way of getting out of life without harming someone or something, whether it be intentionally or not. Therefore, if you believe in karma, that game will chase you all over the universe for eternity. Let it go. Accept things as they are and let it be without judgment, and trust that the universe is in perfect harmony. This is a way of dismantling the karmic cycle. The death game. Here today and gone tomorrow. Life is short. You only live once. Those are the things we say, and that's what most believe. Life and death goes hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. It's like having a one-sided coin. It's impossible. In order to come into body, we must die from an infinite state of being into mortality. Death is a game we play that generates a lot of money and a plethora of emotions that feed the soulless entities around us. Death is an illusion. You can't kill anything. Nothing ceases to exist, only changes form. What we call death is more like a short retirement from the body. We take a break, so to speak. Waldo Emerson wrote many poems, but my favorite has to be I'll Return Again. It says, "I'll return again." It is the secret of the world that all things subsist and do not die, but only retire a little from sight and afterwards return again. Nothing is dead, men feign themselves dead, and endure mock funerals and mournful obituaries, and there they stand looking out of the window, sound and well, in some new strange disguise. Jesus is not dead, he is very well alive, nor John, nor Paul, nor Muhammad, nor Aristotle. At times we believe we have seen them all, and could easily tell the names under which they go. Do you remember the nursery rhyme? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 life is but a dream. That's what's happening. We are dreaming. What happens when we die in our dreams? We wake up into another dream that we think is real. What happens when a cartoon character is blown up into little pieces? It gets right back up again. When I was a child watching cartoons, I remember thinking it would be really cool if we could bounce back after being blown into a million little pieces. Now I know why I had that thought. It's true. We do bounce back after being blown to smithereens. Something or someone is always telling and showing us the truth if only we take a moment to pay attention. We are those cartoon characters. You can find the answers to life and death in children's stories, nursery rhymes, and cartoons, although they are not really just for children. They use these stories, like in spiritual books, to teach us something about ourselves, life, death, and the cosmos. Pinocchio is my favorite animation because it is a good depiction of what happens to us in the world. The wooden boy who goes out into the world and is lost until he faces the monster deep down within himself and become realized. You can also find answers to life and death in nature. Notice how the seasons take out the old and bring in the new. Year after year we see it play out. Pay attention to how the day beautifully gives way to night and it starts all over again. Flowers blossom and die, only to give way to a new edition of itself again. Even the moon disappears and returns. Now that you know that it is only the body that expires, again I say, take full advantage of this beautiful opportunity you have in the body. Enjoy it. Raise your vibration and soar higher into the next realm, because it is only in the body that you can make this choice to do so. The game of distraction. The game of distraction is the most powerful game used by the game makers, and there is a simple answer to the use of this tool. You are here to enjoy the experience in the body, be happy, and increase your vibration to go to the next higher dimension. If that is what we are here to do, then why are there so many distractions that constantly hound us like bloodthirsty leeches? I'm glad you asked, because that is exactly like the entities that are distracting us are. Leeches. They feed off the negative energy we produce. We are essentially their food, just as the body needs substance, so does these entities. As long as you are in the lower dimensions, it is easier for them to entice you into doing their deeds that they cannot do without a body. As you rise into the higher dimensions, you are more aware of who and what you are, and they entities as well. Look around you. Listen to what's being said. Feel the vibrations. Most of our surroundings are distractions. Meditation is a time to shut down the monkey brain and connect with your higher self. That monkey will pull out everything in its arsenal to keep you from getting into your upper room, closet, mountaintop, quiet place, your higher self. The reason for the distractions is to keep you from getting to know who you truly are. You are a treasure box, containing a wealth of knowledge. You hold the knowledge of the universe within you, and they do not want you to know this. They keep you from getting to know this by keeping you dumbed down in a variety of ways, like medicines, food, polluted air, electromagnetic fields, and so on. Realize that you are not the body. You are an infinite eternal being, borrowing a bodysuit. You find this out in meditation, which is why it is so hard for some people to meditate. The monkey makes it difficult. It will constantly use all kinds of sounds, voices, and images to throw you off your game. You just sit there and watch all of these thoughts, and you know these thoughts aren't coming from you. So where are they coming from? Glad you asked. They are coming from entities we cannot see that are constantly around us. They may be Great-Grandpa Jesse's, or Aunt Lulu's. Maybe Great-Grandpa Jesse was a gambler and wanted to experience that rush again because he didn't figure things out when he was in body, and now he's literally caught out of body. So he hangs on to you or anyone that he was connected to gamble. So when you go and play the slots and you know that your limit is $50. When you lose it, here comes Great Grandpa, urging you to drop another $20, it's gonna hit. And before you know it, Great Grandpa has played your rent money and you began coming out of the trance of Great Grandpa. Great Grandpa did his job, he distracted you and drained your energy. I can attest to this. I've been there and done that. You know that you are in a trance, but you continue anyway. These are distractions and we will always have them. They are what catapult us or drag us down. This is why it is important to get to know who you are and stay focused on the purpose of being in body. 7 Bomer is a great source of knowledge who speaks on the ancestors and a host of other metaphysical topics. The Separation Game. This is another game that the game makers use to keep humanity divided, weakened, and feeling powerless. The people of one has become the people of brokenness in so many ways, and these dividers have become distractions. Let's look at some of the dividers and see how they also play a part in distracting us at the same time. Fame and fortune are what most people would sell out for. We see this in the Black Mirror TV every day, that is if you watch it. Fame and fortune is a tool used to separate the haves from the have-nots, but in the distraction, it is not seen that way, but rather something to have. It is the same with skin color. The darker complexion wants to be lighter, the lighter wants to be darker. Instead of working on the inside, the focus is on the outside of the body. Then there is the fake and phony separation by political affiliation, because the masses don't know that they are being deceived, lied to, and distracted by the one and the same entity. Education is a divisor used to be a benefit to those that have and a hindrance to those who have it not. If those that have it not only knew how fortunate they are to not have it, they would jump for joy, because that's just less information that they have to undo. Religion is probably the most powerful tool of distraction, keeping people apart through beliefs that promote hate, fear, animosity, and death. Then there is age, gender, height, weight, class, status, ability, job, body types, physical appearance, ethnicity, providence, town, city, country, the list goes on. There are as many dividers as there are distractions. They are both played hand in hand. Hey, did you see the latest on Power last night? It was the best episode yet. Oh, you have got to see Empire. That's the best show on TV right now. I missed Scandal last night cause I had to go get my nails and hair done. It goes on and on. Distraction after distraction. Nothing or no one should be more important than you. When you know who you are, there will be no need to give your energy away to distractions and dividers. The word game. The word game deserves a book on its own. I am going to touch on a few words to give you an idea of how our language is used to curse us. It is the language of Babel. Babylon, sheep. Babylon. As you see with the word name, when you pay attention to the letters and sound, you will clearly see that there are hidden meanings behind the language. We call each other sheep every day unintentionally. Just as we look at animals as a food source, the game makers look at us the same way. The intention of the language makers is more powerful than the one who uses it until the user becomes aware of the language game. The English language is a combination of other languages. It isn't a complete language and is probably one of the hardest languages to learn because there are so many homophones, homonyms, synonyms, and antonyms that can be very confusing. The English language is so confusing that to spell a word is just that, a spelling, as in cursing. Just take a look at those few words, spelling as in a curse or cursive as in writing, or cursor as one who casts spells with words, and of course the cursor is what I use as I type because the cursing deals with words. Then there is word, as in word, you are being whirled around or spent. You don't know what is really being said because the interpretation of the words belongs to the speaker. Let's take a look at some more words. Here are two that we use often, you, and I. The word I or I could reference the single self, or it could be the single I that Jesus spoke of when he said, "If the I be single, then the whole body will be filled with light." The single I, is your true vision. Now take a look at the word, you, and you. This word can be plural or singular. When it is plural, it means more than one person. When it is singular, it can be in reference to one person or a female sheep. None of this is a coincidence. So now take a look at the words sheep. Sheep are docile animals. A pastor looks after his sheep. Looks like sleep, doesn't it? What are we told to count to help us get to sleep when we are children? Sheep. Sleep, sheep. The pastor keeps the sheep sleep by keeping them in the past, hence pastor. Take a look at this one. In the land of Pan there is Peter, Pater, Potter, Pan. All of these words are one and the same. If you flip Pan you get nap. In the land of Oz, Wizard of Oz, Uz. If you flip Oz you get Zo or Zoo. Let me give you a sentence that has nothing to do with words but a whole lot of time, and the terms I will use are my interpretation only. So there, I sentence you with a term of 10 years. You see how the words are sounds that have multiple meanings? Every word is this way. It goes deeper. Each letter has a numerical attachment that gives it a deeper meaning. 7 Bomer and Cave of Gaia is a good source of knowledge on the word game and more. The language is Ikari, trickery, icky, ricky, wiki, witchy, witchy. Look at the word time. Timey. We get caught up, tied up in time. Time is your most valuable asset. Don't get tied up in what others want you to do. Time and money is energy. When you spend your money, you can get more, but you can't get more time. As I said, we have many contracts. In contracts you can clearly see that in the word itself, it is referencing some kind of trickery of a path. Began to use your right brain and pull away from the trappings of the language as the game makers want you to see it. It is all sound. Sound is vibration. Give it your own meaning and interpretation. Get an understanding of the illusion and trickery that we are in so you can clearly see the spells and curses of sound. I hope this has given you a better perspective on the contraption of words we are in. Pay attention to your choice of words. The reason for the games and who created them? Most of the games we play today didn't exist eons ago. As humanity multiplied, so did the games. As time goes on, the games change. One game snowballs into another. After coming into body so many times, humans began to figure these games out and began to change the games with consciousness. With so many humans on the planet, the energy is moving faster, causing game changes to accelerate. The more consciously aware one becomes, their vibration increases. They began spreading the light or knowledge, and others began to awaken to the truth when they hear it, if they are ready. This is a greater part of the shift of consciousness we are in now. So who created the games and why? The games were created by what I call the game makers, puppet masters, or the entities that created the human contraption we call the body. The entities whose playthings we are. The games were created for the same reason any game is created, for entertainment, competition, and a goal of winning the prize. What prize? Souls. Souls are the big prize. Souls are energy. The entities cannot produce energy of their own, therefore, our souls are recycled through the body by way of trickery and manipulations. We are their lifeline, their food source. They feed off the negative energy we emit. The game makers are those entities that put the humans into the digital matrix that we call 3D. Of course, these entities are not the only game makers. There are many worlds within worlds, and they were all created by different beings. Just as we create games to play, so do they. Again, these are just a few of the games of life that we play. There are games within games. This is just the surface of what is really going on. If you are aware of when you are playing these games, you can make the necessary adjustments to turn the table in your favor, or at least make the situation less of a hindrance for you. This is your life. Play it according to your rules. Take advantage of the wonderful opportunity that you have and enjoy your experience in the body. For our soul's purpose is to be happy as we expand our consciousness to higher levels. Gaia, Mother Earth, is the place and the body is the vehicle which we accomplish this goal. See life for what it is, a game. Have fun and enjoy it. This concludes the games of life. Know the games, change your life. Don't forget to hit the donate, like, and subscribe button. Thank you.